So as we enter into the fall season, some of you may be looking for books that kind of gave me a fall vibe. That's what we're doing here today. We're going to do a real rapid fire list of 10 books that I just came away from feeling if I had to point a season to that book, it would be autumn. There's going to be both traditionally published as well as independently published books on this list. I promise you probably haven't read them all, so stick around and find out if there's something that you might like. The first book we're going to talk about today is The Wickwire Watch by author Jacqueline Hagan. This is an indie book and it is quite good. This has an atmosphere of sort of gaslight Victorian feel to it. I almost sensed kind of like a fall rainy day vibe when I picked up this book. And I read this book a couple of years ago, and I want to say there are several books that have come out since in the series. I haven't gotten them to them yet, but I know from friends of mine who have, they continuously improve. But I was blown away by book one, The Wickwire Watch. Go take a look at it. The second book on the list today, if you are a regular member of the channel, and by the way, I'm Brian, this is BellTube. If you're a regular member of the channel and you kind of watch a lot, you're wondering, Brian, where is Piranesi? It's always behind you. It's because it's in my hands. Piranesi by Susanna Clark is going to be my second book I am recommending today that has a fall vibe. Now, I don't know per se if it's going to have a fall vibe for you, but I know it has a dreamy atmospheric vibe, and for whatever reason, I associate that to fall. I'm not totally sure why. I'm not even going to tell you what's in this book. It's quite short, and you'll read this in a couple of sittings. I find that the less you know about Piranesi going into the book, the better of an experience you're going to have. So I'm not going to share with you what this is about other than to tell you to go read it because it is fantastic. The third book on the list today is called Murder at Spindle Manor by author Morgan Stang. This won SPFBO, I want to say, or SPFBO, I think 9 maybe last year, I think. Anyway, we've got a cozy murder mystery set into this, fantastical, realistic sort of world where we think we've got this monster in this mansion that can look like anybody, so we're not exactly sure who done it. Now, to me, that screams Halloween. Halloween is fall. Murder at Spindle Manor. I think you should check that out. Let's talk about, well, you know what we should talk about? If you like these kind of curated lists, if you kind of like the vibe of the channel, think about hitting the like button. And if you really want to see me pop up a little bit more in your feed, think about hitting that subscribe button and you will be part of what we do over here. Now, this book is certainly the weirdest of the bunch, and we are talking about The Library at Mount Char by author Scott Hawkins. This kind of combines fantasy and horror, and it really gives me a strong Halloween vibe, even though it's not really set in that way. The Library at Mount Char is itself a library, as it would indicate, but the librarians are all children that had at one point been adopted by this figure that they all refer to as Father. And Caroline, our main character, has to jump into action because Father, who we think might be God, we're not sure, has apparently gone missing. And the interesting thing about this book, and I do not want to give you any spoilers, is that each of these children have a different specialty that they learned within the library in the section that they were given to master. And woe be those who go and try to read from any other books than their appointed books that they were told to read by Father. And if you think some of them didn't kind of cross-pollinate into different sections, you'd be wrong. This is a weird book. This is a cool book, and it's absolutely an autumn vibe book, The Library at Mount Char. Check it out. All right, also thank you to the patrons who are just amazing people. I love you guys. Anyway, Patreon stuff is listed in the Discord. Let's get to the next book. I promised you rapid fire. I promised you some independent authors. We're going to talk about this book, While Darkness Gathers, by author Dr. Philip Chase. who happens to be a friend of mine and also happens to have one of the best booktube channels on fantasy. While Darkness Gathers is the sequel to the Attn trilogy. So if you have already read the Attn trilogy, you gotta pick up While Darkness Gathers. Absolutely has a fall vibe to me. I'm not sure if he wrote it that way, but it does. Now, here's the question of the day, right? But Brian, I haven't read the trilogy. Well, then you need to read The Way of Attn. This is the Broken Binding edition, and I hope it shows up okay on camera because it has a really cool glossy cover to it. But whether you consume this by audio with the amazing Alan Walker narrating it, or whether you get the ebook, or whether you get a physical copy, however you do it, if you have not read the Attn trilogy yet, you need to get on the Attn trilogy, especially if you really like classic fantasy. The Attn trilogy, and if you've read it already and you haven't picked up While Darkness Gathers yet, that's your fall recommendation for me. All right, what else we got? Traditionally published books, a big author, but a new series that he's doing. I just read this last month. This is The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. I loved this book. If you like kind of the Suicide Squad of DC Comics, not the movie. The movie I know was just meh. But if you like the comic books, and if you happen to have seen the show Creature Commandos that, director James Gunn put together on HBO Max, this book to me really read like a mashup of Suicide Squad and Creature Commandos. This was in a video that I recently did. If you want, go back and look through the BellTube catalog. You can find out a little bit more about this book particularly, but there's lots of monsters in this book. And unlike most books where the monsters are, the problem or the antagonist, the monsters are the protagonists in this book. So yeah, that's a fall vibe for me for sure. All right, what's next? Now, I used to live in England, and for some reason, it always felt like autumn in London. I don't know why. It rained, I want to say, like the first 3 weeks that I lived there. But I got to throw a little bit of urban fantasy on this list, so I'm going to put the Alex Verus series on a fall kind of vibey read. You may disagree. I don't know. The first book's called Fated, and Alex Verus owns a magic store where tourists think, it's just kind of hokey magic, little trinkets and items that they can buy for their kids to do magic. But what they don't realize is that Alex Verus is actually a diviner mage and carries real magic stuff and real magic gear that other mages in London and in England and really all over Europe go to shop at his store. He gets entangled in all this kind of political intrigue within the magic community. I want to say it's a 12-book series. I've read the entire thing. I am a huge Alex Verus fan. A nice, tight, small cast, so it doesn't get so expansive that you don't really know what's going on half the time. You know what's going on most of the time in the Alex Verus books, but they do give me a fall vibe for whatever reason. It's a big recommend for me. What else we got? Oh, we got to talk about this one. Now, if you want to challenge yourself a little bit, I'm pretty sure she didn't write this setting out to have a fall vibe, but for whatever reason, it gives me one, and I am talking about To Ride Hell's Chasm by Janny Wurts. I am not sure. I thought about this all day yesterday when I was thinking about this video. What specifically about this book gives me an autumn vibe? I don't know. I have no idea. It just feels like the kind of book that I would enjoy in the fall, maybe more so than the summer or the spring. No real reason for it. That's why I'm just an average booktuber. But if you've not read Janny Wurts yet, this is a fantastic starting point. It's not that long of a book. It is totally standalone. There are a handful of main characters in this book, and that is it. Incredible storytelling, incredible prose. Layers upon layers get peeled back as the story unfolds. Extremely excellent reading. Extremely excellent reading. I don't know if that's a saying. Now it's a saying. It's extremely excellent reading. You should definitely pick up To Ride Hell's Chasm, particularly if you are unsure or intimidated about Janny Wurts' books. A lot of people are. I run into that quite a bit when I talk about either Janny Wurts or when I talk about Steven Erikson. A lot of people will say, hey, that seems kind of intimidating to me. I've heard it's really difficult. I wouldn't say it's difficult. I would say it challenges your level of focus. Can you sit down and pay attention to a chapter a bit more so than a lot of the other books that are in the genre? If the answer is yes, if the answer is yeah, I'm willing to challenge myself just to slow down and really appreciate what the authors put together. Kind of like a fine chef creates an amazing meal. You're not going to, scarf it down like you would fast food. You take your time and you enjoy it, and I think you will enjoy To Ride Hell's Chasm. I have recommended this book to so many people, and very, very few people came back and said, I don't understand your recommendation. Most said, thanks, I really did like that one. Let's talk about another series that feels like fall to me, and this is going to be very strange. I know, bear with me. But I'm going to talk about The Long Price Quartet by Daniel Abraham, and the first book is not called Autumn Anything, it's called A Shadow in Summer. So Brian, why are you putting A Shadow in Summer in a fall list? Again, I'm not sure. Maybe it's because the third book, I should say, in this series is called An Autumn War, and to me, that was the high point of this 4-book series. But here's the best part about Long Price Quartet in terms of your time commitment. Each book is less than 300 pages. You could literally read all 4 books, and that's how many there are in this series. There's 4 in quicker time than one big Stormlight Archive book. So yeah, there's 4 books, but they read very quickly, and there's so much going on. If you like political intrigue, if you like incredible dialogue, if you can live without these huge, big action scenes constantly and really want to dial in on characters, Long Price Quartet is exactly that. An Autumn War is my favorite book by a mile in that series. I shouldn't say by a mile. They're all really good. And I like book 4 just slightly less than book 3, but I'm going to say book 3 easily my favorite in that. And because it's called The Autumn War, it's my list. I'm putting it in there. Go read The Long Price Quartet. All right, what else we got? We got one more, and this is going to be the obvious one. This is a BookTube darling. I want to say maybe 2-3 years ago, I happened to listen to it on audio where it was read by one of the best voice actors, and he actually wrote the book himself. Of course, I'm talking about Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. This is great stuff. This is an orc who gets sick of being basically in an adventuring party, wants to stop killing people, and she decides she'd rather open up her own cafe and a coffee store. All right, so I kind of like this in my own kind of like selfish way, because the whole premise is it's going to be so much easier owning a business than it is going out in an adventuring party, and that's kind of the retirement life. And here I am as a lifelong business person going, oh my God, Viv, I think is the name of the main character, orc. You have no idea what you're in for. It is just as ruthless, if not more so, than going out and fighting monsters. Legends and Lattes, it is absolutely a fall read. At least I wanted to end on a 10th book that really did represent fall. Let's do a one for the road. I told you today is going to be kind of rapid fire because I know everyone's kind of getting busy this time of the year. One for the road is going to be even faster. What I'd like you to do, and here's my challenge for you today, because everybody goes into different seasons with a different thought. Like for me, autumn happens to be my favorite season, so I go in with excitement. And for other people, they feel that way maybe about summer, spring, winter, I guess, is the 4th season. So here's my challenge. Write down 3 things about the season that we're going into at the beginning of each season and keep it kind of close by of 3 things that you actually like about the season, right? So for me, summer's actually my least favorite season. I don't know why, but it is. But I have found it helpful to write down a few things, keep it on a Post-it note, keep it on your iPhone or whatever phone device you use, and just have it available on those days where you are thinking to yourself, I really just hate this time of year. You take a look at it and go, oh yeah, but here are 3 things that I actually really do like about it. Those are 10 books that I think you'll enjoy this fall, but I'd like to know in the comments what books remind you of fall. Let's get a discussion going down there. I answer every comment. You guys already know that. We engage with the really brilliant comments. We engage with a lot of the less than brilliant comments. It doesn't matter. We're all there to have fun because we're all fantasy sci-fi readers. Everybody stay positive, and of course, here's your fortune.